Hi guys, Dr. Chris Wallace here today, and I am here with one of my most favorite patients in the whole world. And not only is she a fantastic patient, but she's got an amazing practice working with patients and clients on their diet and nutrition, helping them with their macros, and really just helping them find themselves, which is why we get along so well. We're always helping women and just really helping them feel like themselves. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about Krista's journey a little bit.
Ah,
And I love her journey because look at her. She's beautiful. She's
thank you.
fantastic. And everybody would look at her and say, "What's the matter? You got a great business, beautiful family, wonderful kids, great husband. And isn't everything perfect?" And we all like to think it's all perfect, but it's not. And so I want her to talk a little, we're going to take you through her journey a little bit today
Yeah.
on how she found me and how she's worked herself, her own magic on herself with my guidance to feel a little bit better. So Krista, let me see, how long has it been since we've been working together?
So I think September will be 2 years.
Wow, yeah, so year and a half. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because I heard about you through a really good friend of mine that I went on a women's retreat with. She happened to be here in Arizona,
Huh?
and we went on a women's retreat, and I was telling her, because at the time I was actually going to a naturopath in a different practice and in a different part of the state, and
Uh-huh.
I was having testosterone peptide injections or
Yeah.
peptides for my testosterone. And I was telling her, like, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. My belly is so sore from the shots. And she was like, "Oh, you've got to go see Dr. Wallace." And I was like, "I'll go see whoever you tell me to go see. Like, I want to feel better." So I think September will be 2 years.
Great. All right. So when Krista came in, I could tell she was on the inside a very vibrant person, but for some reason it just wasn't coming out. So, yeah, and you did. You were like, "I am too tired for
Mhm.
what everything I'm doing." You had a busy career, managing three kids and their gazillion activities.
Yeah.
Um, husband, a home, the whole nine yards, and too young to be too tired,
Yeah.
and very active athletically as well yourself. So I knew something was up, but mostly I knew something wasn't up because you didn't feel right.
Yep. Yeah.
So the first thing we did was we measured your labs. We looked at your thyroid, we looked at your hormones, and we also looked at kind of the normal things that you would see when you go to see a physician. How's your blood doing? How's your white blood cells, red blood cells, all that stuff. But
Yep.
primarily, we looked at the endocrine system.
Yes.
Had you ever had your labs looked at like that before?
Yeah. So I think what's really interesting, I think super important for everybody that's listening to this on the other side of the camera, is Dr. Wallace was not my first attempt at feeling better. I had known for some time now that I was not, things were changing. I was aging, things were shifting, and I knew something was not okay. So I had gone to a regular general, practitioner who drew my thyroid, drew my this, drew my that, and told me, "You're fine." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm fine. It's all in my head, or this just must be what my life is now. I've got three kids, my own business, a husband. But then so I let that go for like a year of being miserable. So I was like, no, I got to try again. And maybe I need to try a different doctor. So I went to, I don't even know. I think she worked at a wellness center. So I went to a wellness center. So they do a little more holistic, but she was not a holistic doctor.
Mhm.
And she told me that I needed to cut out all carbs. I needed to eat 50 carbs a day. And that it was surely all the extra carbs that I was eating. And I was like, at that time, because I was tracking my macros, I knew exactly what I was eating. I was having allergies like you would not believe. Like I couldn't even run outside. And I was eating 345 carbohydrates. So the thought of going to 50 carbohydrates, I was like, she's drinking. Like, that's not going to happen, right? Not going to happen. So she put me on a thyroid medication because she said I was on the border. She's like, we couldn't. And I was like, can you just do something? I don't feel good. I did not cut down to 50 carbohydrates. That's crazy sauce. And I still didn't feel good. So then I went to a naturopath in a different place. They put me on, she tested my stuff. My cortisol was crazy low. My testosterone was crazy low. And her solution was peptide injections, which I
Mhm.
spent a ton of money on for 8 or 9 months. And I think I gained 4 points in my testosterone. I think it went from 12 to like 16 or 17. And I was like, Oh yeah, big gains. Now knowing what I know from you, like that was going to take me a million years to get to where I needed to go.
Probably, yeah.
Right. So I had a lot of different people looking, but
Mhm.
no real solutions. So when I came to you, you were like, let's start from scratch. Let's
Mhm.
start from the very beginning. Let me look the way that I look at things because I take a different approach. And I'm so glad that you did because my world has drastically changed in the year and a half that we've worked together. I tell people all the time, and my husband and I laugh about it. I'm like, she single-handedly saved my marriage and my sanity.
Wow, okie dokie.
Well, seriously, when you don't feel good, and you guys, just to give you a little perspective, I had 12 was my testosterone number. And so I don't know what my numbers are at now, but they're well into the like the 150s,
Yeah, we
something.
maintain like 150, 180, which is way elevated for the little, the little parameters are on that lab. But
Yeah.
remember, we're not playing that little parameter game. We do bring them up higher for
Yep.
female, and we let them trickle on down. And we use pellet therapy, which is what you're doing.
Yep.
And we closely monitor them. And this is incredibly safe treatment for
Yep.
men and women. And by the way, it's not just a male hormone. And
No.
if somebody tells you it's just a male hormone,
Yes.
run, just totally run away. 'Cause you got
Yeah.
no reason
I
to talk.
think that's one of the other things that you helped me with too. Remember when I came in and I sat down for my first appointment and you mentioned testosterone pellets and I was like,
Yeah.
You're like, why would you not? And I'm like, because everybody has scared, like I was scared.
Yeah.
It was a male hormone. I was gonna get breast cancer. All the myths that you hear about it, I was convinced of it, right? Because that's what people had been telling me, and I didn't know any better. And literally, like my mood, my energy, my pump in the gym, my intimacy with my husband, like it all changed for the better. I was like, whoa, I don't know that I've ever felt this way in my life. Like it drastically changed everything. Not only that, but we also addressed I was low in vitamin D,
Mhm.
and my cholesterol was lower than it needed to be. So you're like,
Right.
girl, we need you to eat some eggs and start upping that cholesterol. And I was like, okay, that's good to know, right? Heart health, that's good to know. And then we did my thyroid. My
Yeah.
thyroid was lagging because I had all these other things that were not doing their job. So it was just pulling on all of those things. So it really was an incredible appointment to come to, and it just gets better and better every single time that I come and see you.
Well, it's such a great thing to be able to help amazing women and men. I mean, I do treat men too, obviously with their for their hormones.
Yeah, yeah,
I think what's really important, and you mentioned that was we're treating several things
yeah,
like your thyroid, your testosterone. You mentioned your allergies. We've talked about that.
yeah, yeah,
And so there's a lot of things that happen in your health journey, and you're not just hormones, you're not just testosterone, you're not just estrogen, you're not
right.
just, you're everything. So, we really address all that. And I love what you said about mood, because I find that when we can correct testosterone, especially in females, it makes the world a difference. I take people off their SSRIs all the time. And SSRI is like Zoloft,
Mhm.
and some of those other mental health medications. Not that there's anything wrong with taking
Sure.
them, but some people don't need to take them, and there are side effects.
Yeah,
So once we get their hormones corrected, their thyroid, their testosterone, you feel so much better.
so much
And
better.
when you start exercising, you want to exercise more, and then you want to eat better, and then once you eat better, you want to eat even better, and then it's this whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's like a ball of health, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, really, honestly, it was. And it's kind of the same thing in nutrition, right? Like it's
Yeah.
about the food, but it's not really about the food. It's all the other life things that affect the way that you think, look, and feel about food and the decisions that you make with it. Well, when it comes to my journey with you, it was about the hormones, but it was also about all the other metabolisms and how things were working as
Mhm.
a collective community together. And there were a lot of little broken pieces. So if we only addressed one, I don't imagine that I would feel as good as I feel
Yeah.
if our attention was only on one thing, because a lot of other things were paying the price for it within my internal systems.
Yeah.
And my mood, it I honestly was ready to be put on an antidepressant because I was like,
Right.
maybe I am having like mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I really was like, okay, give me the Zoloft, give me the whatever it's going to take because I'm losing my mind here. And fortunately, because we had a plan and a plan that's worked for me and it was created for me, I haven't had to do any of those things.
Yeah. Good. I'm so glad.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Yeah. So I think, and the one more thing too that I think is important is you mentioned you were afraid when I mentioned the pellets, you were afraid of them because you thought, oh, I've heard all this stuff about them. And
Yeah.
bioidentical hormones in general are super safe, right? The estrogen comes from soy, the progesterone from yam. They are not the hormones of yesteryear. Your body recognizes them right away. And when they're delivered in a pellet, there's a lot of other ways we can do hormone
Yeah.
therapy. But for testosterone, I really, and estrogen to a degree, really like using pellets. It's not just this pellet factory. I mean, you do come in every 3.5 months to get your pellet, but we are constantly measuring and constantly doing labs and checking in. And I think that a lot of women and men have had particular pellets, different brands, different kinds, different practitioners that haven't been monitored well.
Mm-hmm.
And they have really negative side effects. Too much testosterone in a female isn't good either.
Right.
You know, too much hair growth and you can get acne. There's some side effects.
Yep.
So we have to watch that. And so if you have looked at replacing hormones and have heard negative stories about different kinds, definitely check it out with whoever you're working with, because you might just need to switch your practitioner and then maybe those delivery systems will be a little bit better for you.
Absolutely. So. And I think that's one of the reasons why, because literally when I came and I sat in your office, I was like, oh no, I don't think that's a good idea. Right. And you were like, and you just out of curiosity were like, okay, why? Would you share with me your reservation or your fear? And honestly, that day I decided, okay, let's try that. Let's give that a go, because you took the time to talk to me. You asked all these other questions. I think we spent an hour and some change together on my first appointment, which was so important to me because it didn't feel like a pellet factory. And that's kind of what I had heard people talk about. Like, oh, they're just instantly going to put you on testosterone. It's going to make $1 bazillion for the business. And it's just a pellet, merry-go-round. Right. But I felt so confident in you taking care of my plan and that you had my best health at heart, that all of my reservations, I was like, yeah, I'm good. And that was after one appointment, y'all. And I was calloused by the time that I came to Dr. Wallace because she was my fourth doctor. So that's just a testament to your office, how I was greeted when I came in, how I was taken care of from entering your office to sitting down at your desk and then having my treatment plan created. I really felt seen. I really felt heard. And I truly felt like I was going to get the solution to like a year, almost 2-year problem that I'd been having, that everybody just kind of, we'll try this. Maybe we'll try that. And it would never solved anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you feel good. That's why I do what I do. And I'm so glad that you share it with people, because that's the only way that we can get the word out. I'm not the only naturopath in the town. There's a lot of us, and it's a great field. A lot of naturopaths are very, very good at what they do. Yeah. So seek one out in wherever you are or wherever you live, and start feeling better. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, so good. So one little thing that I would love to say, because this was another little roadblock for me before, I came to you. My husband's a fireman, so we have really good city insurance. Oh. And some of these other doctors I had gone to were inside my insurance plan, right? So a lot of times people think, well, it's not covered by my insurance, so I'm not going to invest the time and the money into going to a naturopath because they're typically not covered by insurance, right? Mm-hmm. You guys, if you do not feel good and you want to feel better, that has to not be a roadblock for you. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes the answer is somebody that's outside of your network. And that's okay. Like, there are certain things that are 100% worth spending the family resources and investment in. And this is hands down one of those times where you forego the Lulu shopping spree or the extra vacation or the too many Christmas gifts, if you need to get a doctor who listens to you, pays attention to you, right? So that's just one little thing. Like, I know, like, even it's just programmed in us. Like, I talk to other women and the very first question is, well, does she take insurance? Or,
Right.
and most naturopaths, I mean, they're not covered by insurance.
No. Mm-mm. No.
But you also get a totally different experience because of that. Like,
Yeah,
a totally different experience.
you
And
do.
so, I mean, I think you ask yourself, like, is it more important for it to be covered in my insurance? Or is it more important to be heard, seen, and taken care of the way that I know I need to be taken care of? And so then that's how I made my decision. Like, I'm tired of feeling like this and I've gone this route and it's not working. So I need to go in a different direction and make sure that I get, what I need handled by somebody who's going to listen and pay attention. So
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. I didn't even think about that. It's so true. And even still, I mean, like labs are usually covered because if you
yeah,
have regular conventional insurance, the labs will be covered. If we have to send you out for any ultrasounds or imaging, that's covered by your insurance. And if you have an HSA account, you
yeah,
can do that on anything in our office. So there's definitely some things that are covered in certain ways, but I think for the most part, yeah, you're worth it. I
yeah,
mean, you're worth it. You are worth it for the money that you would spend to, like you said, go on a short trip, or how much money you spend on your hair every year, or, nails or whatever. I don't know what it is, but
yeah,
you're worth it.
100%.
And I think it's worth it just to feel good and
Yeah.
to have a great quality of life.
Yeah, and as soon as my husband saw, because he balked at it a little bit too, right? Like, we'll just go to somebody in our insurance, and I was like, I already did that. And as soon as he saw me turn the corner, he was like, whoa, whatever you're doing, because y'all, testosterone it's a good thing.
Yeah.
He was like, I support whatever you're doing.
I'll get that pellet.
Yes.
I'll see you tonight.
He's like, the cash is on the table. Go get whatever you need to get done.
Whatever you need.
And that's just the truth, right? When mama feels good, when you feel good, when your internal systems are taken care of, you show up so differently for your family.
Yeah.
And I want to show up for my family in a way that empowers them. And I'm not sucking the life out of them with my bad attitude, my lack of libido, and not wanting to be touched or looked at because I have nothing going on,
Right.
in my system. And so that's all super important. And to me, more important than any other sacrifice that could be made.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, Krista. I really appreciate it. And I just hope that it kind of gets out to others and they
That's,
understand that they're worth it. They can feel better,
yeah,
and we can all feel like we're the best person that we can be at this
I
point.
love it. So good. Thank you so much for having me on. I always love chatting with you.
Thank you. And I'll see you soon in the office.
Yep, I will. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.